lines are important as a refresher. One is in 200, which is the paramita height. Now the path is the 7 stages of the paramitas. Is still steeper than the fourfold dhyana. And I don't want to repeat fourfold dhyana, we understand that, right? Yes, yes, yes. Yes, the dhyana, okay. And that's the path towards samadhi, realization, fulfillment, renunciation. I'm sorry, liberation. The other one, 7 paramitas, still steeper, right? And you have to fight thy way through 7 portals, which are 7 strongholds held by cruel, crafty powers, which are within you as passions incarnate. Don't blame anybody else but you and your karma and what you have done in all these millions of years that you're being alive. It's all your responsibility. You were architects of your own passions incarnate. Now you're going to face them. Why? You are alone in this path. Isn't that true? We covered that. You're walking alone, you're going to see yourself. The next point in this is that there are 7 paramitas, and you got them, correct? And try to study them, memorize them, see them in you. You have to be able to be one with them. And we're moving towards the 229, where it says, but remember, first learn the pitfalls on the way. Again, there are 7 strongholds, correct? You see the picture? And you're going to be on your way to the first portal, and there are going to be pitfalls there. There are going to be trials, and you're going to then face the cruel, crafty powers. Now, the voice of the silence is not a handbook of paramitas. In other words, every paramita is not defined, explained. It's not going to take you, the book is not going to take you by the hand. It's not going to be your teacher. You need to find your way through them. Now, this is on the path. We are not on the path. We're on the road. So, but we can use the wisdom that we learn of the paramitas to apply because it silences. It's the antidote to pain and suffering. So we can use them in our daily life. In fact, virtues are the shield that we have in our life. The problem is we only do them halfway or a third of the way. We don't submerge ourselves in the light of a virtue. We need to learn that and how to do that. So we're going to find that we have a depiction in every paramita, or better said, every stage or portal or gate is described differently, because I think Blavatsky was trying to give us a general idea. In paramita 4, she's going to extend the description. We're going to cover that. Why is that? And I want your opinion too. It's very important paramita. And then it's a turning point. You see, you have 3, you have the 4th, and then you have the 3, you get to prajna, and then now you can choose the path of renunciation. So each one is described with different way, and it's not a handbook that everything is the same and correlated perfectly and tabulated scientifically. No, it's a vision. You have to do the work. And by that I mean it's a workshop. Which means you work really hard. And Susan and I will go shopping. Workshop. So, here we go. The first step is bracketing. You know the concept of bracketing? Bracketing is you got to put parentheses, brackets, between the first moment that describes the first paramita to when it ends the first paramita. So you don't confuse the teachings of the first paramita with the second paramita. In other words, as you read from 230, if you are with me, where the first paramita starts, 230, let me go to the book. If you find the first paramita, the first description is 230. Armed with the key of charity. You put a bracket. This is the beginning of my first paramita. You have to find when in the book the first paramita ends. You follow me? You try to say, this is, on those 30, 40 pages, this is my first paramita, from here to here. Am I explaining that? Yes? Otherwise, you're going to bring information of the second paramita. That's not good. Right. So far, so good? Yes? Okay. So, if we have plenty time, I will divide you in groups of 7 people, so each one get a paramita, right? And then you work out the bracketing, and you work out what I intended to have in the workshop, a worksheet. We just don't have the time, but the work is the same. Every paramita has a description of the path to the gate. You need to come out what is in you that they are cruel, crafty powers, passions, and sorry, the word incarnate are not there, incarnate, which means that they are protecting the gate that will not allow you to enter. You will perish, and you will come back, and you will have 7 lives to go. Or, in the next one, you get fulfillment. You can pass them on. But you see that the antidote is the virtue. You want to silence the cruel, crafty powers within you, passions incarnate, with that paramita. This is what is intended. Is the key. Your higher self, your guru, is going to open the gate by disappearing the stronghold demons. I like to call them demons. One time, a long time ago, I heard demons. They were demons. And when you find the paramitas, the antidote, they just disappear. And you can cross that in second paramita. So, I would like if you can take 1 minute, 2 minutes. 2 minutes, and read from 230, armed with the key of charity, and find when it ends. It could be 1 paragraph, 2 paragraphs, 3 paragraphs. Find where that paramita ends. And if you are like me, that I mark on the book, bracketed. This is 1 paramita. Do you mind to spend 2 minutes? This is meant to be a workshop. So you're going to somehow put the first paramita, Dana, it starts from, and I told you where, 230, and ends in, and let me know where. And the first gets some points, I guess. I'll give you some reward, some carrots. And you can work with groups, you can work with yourself, with your higher self, with your lower self, but find out that bracket. You do whatever you want. Or ask me later. course, what you're looking is a point that it says you are on the second gate, right? Or you pass the first gate, or you finish your first gate, or you're done. Sometimes it's short, sometimes it's long. The fourth paramita is super long. You done? Yeah. And even if you're not done, it's fine with me. You done? Yes? You done? You found it? Where the first paramita begins and ends? Yes, else you say yes.
232.
You found that it's between 230 and 232.
Yeah.
Yes? Everybody agrees? 230 to 232? Or that's the 3 paragraphs? Yes? 3 paragraphs? So you're saying that arm with till pass on, right? Okay. Susan, will you read from 230 to 232 with the microphone? This is the description of the path, the paramita, the problems, and so on. Go ahead.
Armed with the key of charity, of love and tender mercy, thou art secure before the gate of Dana, the gate that standeth at the entrance of the path. Behold, O happy pilgrim, the portal that faceth thee is high and wide, seems easy of access. The road that leads there through is straight and smooth and green. 'Tis like a sunny glade in the dark forest depths, a spot on earth mirrored from Amitabha's paradise. There, nightingales of hope and birds of radiant plumage sing, perched in green bowers, chanting success to fearless pilgrims. They sing of Bodhisattva's virtues 5, the 5-fold source of Bodhi power, and of the 7 steps in knowledge. Pass on, for thou hast brought the key. Thou art secure.
Thank you. First path. First, the path to the first gate. Did you feel it? It's the most beautiful one, right? You just commit yourself to the path. The first virtue the teacher tells you is Dana, the key of charity and love, immortal. Right? Charity is giving, right? Charity is offering yourself with love, with all this desire to help the world. And you are at work, let's say, and you say, I want to give myself to them. I want to tell them everything I know. I want to help them all the way. Life looks so great, right? So this is what happens, right? It's in 230, it looks like you are on top of the universe. It's smooth, it's straight, it's green, it's wide. Now, I don't know if you are observing your demons, but you are so far out that the world is going to accept you like that, right? And if you try, and this is when I used to work, I'm retired, by the way. I retired not long ago. Every time I train my new people, this is what I used to do, paramitas. Your first thing here is you exactly do what I just said. You're going to tell people what you learn from other jobs, you're going to guide them, you're going to be with them, you're going to offer yourself, and it lasted like 3 days. Till they were bruised by people, they were misused by people, they were abused by people, and the path of woe showed up. And say, wow, this is great, I can do it. On the 3rd, 4th day, they were like, I'm quitting. You see that? So, why? They moved to the 2nd and 3rd paramita. They didn't have patience. You see what happens? This is sequential. And the path of the first paramita appears so easy. And please, every time that you want to start something spiritual, starts with the first key. Charity, helping, loving, kindness. This is the way to open the world. This is the first stage. In other words, the imprint in our soul is wide open. What can go wrong when you say, work with charitable, work with, just give yourself, go with love and kindness. The world will be open to you. Look at that. Even now you start listening to sounds like the nightingale. Do you hear that? Nightingales. It's shiny glade, right? It's like, it's the Amitabha paradise. Oh, this is an exaggeration, huh? The nightingales of hope. Where did you hear the word nightingale before? The first sound, right? It's nightingale, there's hope, and the birds are singing. I'm so virtuous here, right? Everybody loves me. Yeah, that's your thinking, right? And I'm chanting success. So I can see that, the Bodhisattva's virtues are already in me. Yeah, those 5 virtues. I feel that the source of body, all the cities are in me already. The steps of knowledge, I know everything. I mean, this is so good. Now, tell me the pitfalls. What are the pitfalls? Remember, in 229 said, first learn the pitfalls. This is the impression that the first paramita is giving you. Right? What are the pitfalls? Anybody? This is a workshop. Yes, else.
Proud.
Proud. To be proud of your own work, right? No, it's okay. What else? Illusion. What else? I'm sorry. Arrogance, right? A state of mind that you're already a bodhisattva, right? You have all the cities already. Things are working out so well, And what else you see? Now, the image, remember, the image is, this is a ladder that is closing on you. See that? But at the very height is nirvana lights, prajna is lighting to you, right? But it's closing on you. So it's going to suffocate you. It's a path of woe, right? And the first path appears so easy.
You mean it becomes more narrow
It
as you
becomes narrower.
ascend?
Thank you. It becomes narrower, darker, more difficult. So, what is the description of the path? See it in yourself, because every single time that you're going to try to apply the first virtue, this is what we describe are the demons that are hiding behind. And if you are not aware of those demons, these crafty powers, this passion incarnate, you're going to make a false move. And the moment the stronghold reacts to you, you're going to fail miserable. And I have failed miserable many times trying to open my heart. I don't know if it happens to you. There are horror stories in everybody. But why? I was so nice. I was so good. You took advantage of me. Or this, or you don't care. This is reality. There's no God helping you here. Right? It's you, with you, on you, alone. There is nobody here, right? You can pray all the thing you want. You apply that paramita, bless you, you're going to find all these pitfalls. And these are really crafty powers, so much that you don't recognize them. You're going to blame them on top of that, with that arrogance, with that, delusion that you. So, you see how it works? So what is the antidote? What is the antidote? Is the paramita. On number 207 is you need to work with the key of charity, giving yourself, with the love immortal. Are you really applying the virtue? Are you really, this is what you need to do. Are you really applying the virtue? And that is what we're not doing. Usually, when this manifests, we get what I call spiritual depression, which sounds horrible, which is people saying, I tried. People that are not open to me. Now, I don't know your experience, but I have experienced most of this in my life, and when I guide people at work, because I used to apply this at work, all these paramitas in this order, and it works fantastic. And then you work on them, and you rebuild them, and then you send them to the second paramita, apply another tool, and apply another tool, and apply another tool, and 20, 30 years later, they're still working, happy ever after till retirement. Isn't that cool? So, but here we're talking about a spiritual step, something extremely serious, because you're working not in a closed environment as an adept, but the whole humanity is in front of you. Imagine that. You are not in a corporation, you're not in a for-profit or non-for-profit, in a school, whatever you do, it's a very limited environment. The adept works for the world. You see the difference? We work in our environment. We work with our loved ones, with our friends, and co-workers, and everybody who we are in touch with. And this is the first entrance. The key is, do you see the first paramita? Do you see the description of the path to the portal? What is the portal? You earn the title of first virtue. You earn it. You know how to apply it intelligently. You know how to use it. You know, as an antidote. You will not suffer. You will not have pains. Anywhere in life, when you apply charity and love immortal, when you want to give yourself to others and love everybody like you love yourself, you will not suffer. Very difficult. Almost impossible. And that's why they say, practice the paramitas. You remember that line? Practice the paramitas. Why? We're not bodhisattvas. We want to be, right? We want to become one. But we're not there yet. So we're going to do the practice. Now, in English, practice is two words. A doctor practices medicine. He's an expert in medicine. That's with a C. With an S, it's I'm on to try and error. So I don't know if the same thing is in Dutch. If you translated practice, like the practice of medicine, I have my office where I practice medicine. I'm not going to try and err with you, because I don't want to kill you. I really need to be knowledgeable, and my practice is right there. You see the English word? That's with a C. This is with an S, which is trial and error. How did you translate it in Dutch? It's very important to have the right word. And it's the same, practice, or you don't have the difference?
Praktiseren, en dat is wat de dokter does. En in praktijk brengen is that what we do when we are trying to...
Trial and error and practice. And how did you put it in the book? In our Voice of the Silence? Because that's what we're studying. We don't want to give them the false belief with the wrong translation. Right? So, what is the image that you got from the book? That you're going to practice the paramitas? Oh, and you don't know the numbers. Yeah. Yeah. Try it. Okay. You practice the paramitas. You're practicing the paramitas. But you're not an expert on that. Yeah. That's what I was going to. You're not an expert, you're practicing trial and error. Not like a practice of a doctor that is already an expert and is helping to heal. Big difference. When the voice said practice the virtue, it means You're going to fail, you're going to learn, you're going to try, right? You're going to learn from it, you're going to rebuild yourself and continue and keep going. Not the first time, not the second time, not 1 life, 2 lives, 3 lives, whatever it takes, right? Yes?
Could be to exercise.
Yeah. Same idea. Okay. That's why it's good if you know English, because it's the original language, to do that. Okay, so when you study the paramitas, of course, what you're going to do is to, in your case, in your life, you're going to first, from the book, to get this as much as you can. Then you look in your life and see you're traveling alone. This is your own experience. And you're going to then come out with your journal, so to speak, of how these cruel, crafty powers, which is your own karma, coming out and manifesting themselves in the face of your friends, your family, in your gate. They are who they are. You're going to put in them your cruel, crafty powers. They'll become your enemy. Sad moment. This is a very sad moment when the person you love and you want to help, one monad like you, and you say, I'm in that path of helping, you see the enemy. Isn't that sad?
The enemy is in us, you say?
The enemy is in us, but we see them outside. And we say, you are the enemy. But it's a fashion incarnate. I'm putting a filter there. Why? I'm not seeing now the higher self. Right? Why? I forgot that I have that body power, body sattva virtue. I forgot that I have all the body powers. I have the power to see the higher self. I have the power to relate to, you know what I mean? What it looks so good in the first moment is so terrible now. Everything looks dark. So be careful with the first paramita. Yet use it in the sense of this is your first approach to anything. Anything. Again, I have used that in my life and it works really well. The first approach is open yourself. Yes. In this way.
And also throughout the Voice of the Silence, I think that a lot of the guidance applies to this exercise. Even though this one particular antidote really applies to all of them, she did point out, which of course you see in other philosophies, not to be attached to the fruit of the action. And maybe, I mean, this is one thing, just one of the many things you can think of with this exercise, but it's one that really came to mind because they, it seems, it's green, it's easy of access, you feel you love the world, it's going to love you back.
Right.
And maybe there's just this misperception, you behave a certain way and you expect a certain result. And if we can remember that, not to be attached to the fruits of the action, perhaps we can go deeper into that true spirit of charity.
I like that, the fruit of the action. Isn't that good?
But of course that could go on any level.
You do something and you are attached to the fruits of the action. Great teaching in the Bhagavad Gita everywhere. Isn't it? Voice of the Silence. Any other thoughts on this? Thank you. Wait for me.
Martin, if you look good, then you see that in those verses, what is the experience? Birds singing about the Bodhisattva, light as from a mirror from Amitabha's paradise. All experiences that you discern, but not realize that you have to go inwards. They are not yet influences from within. It's not your inner bodhisattva that is already touching you in your experiences. So that looking outside and not experiencing inside is typically one of the pitfalls. And then you look outside and see lovely people becoming enemies, And Judge says somewhere, the moment your friends become your enemies, look into your character and you see that they reflect your own weaknesses. And if you overcome that, then they are your friends again, for they are your co-workers and other people.
Right.
Is that...
That is perfect. And it's good. And we all have experience. So make this a journal of your own stages of the paramitas. We all experience some of them, most of them, because we try to have a virtuous life. We all experience these paramitas. Of course, maybe you're not aware of the prajna paramita, dhyana, etc. We may get there, right? But we make a journal of that. It's a beautiful spiritual journal of our own path, our own walk on the path. There are lessons learned. Very important. Yes, sir. Susan, you want to?
Is that why we learn forgiveness and that we get compassion for ourselves?
Yes.
So we learn compassion.
We learn compassion, we learn forgiveness if we survive.
Yeah.
If we survive the first blow of karma, which is our own doing. Right?
And is it possible that when you really have the attention to look and you see your trial and error and
Right.
your pain about that,
Yes.
your faults,
Yes.
the devas help you.
I love that. It's so beautiful.
Yeah.
The devas will help.
The devas help
I
you.
hope so.
I think so.
Yeah, that's very good. Yeah. Thank you. So again, the description is very beautiful. Starts really wide. Everything is fine. Everything is beautiful. And we think we're on top of the world. We join a new job, a new organization. We go to the world and we give ourselves up. And sometimes we just don't receive it back in the same force and manner that we give it. Why? Well, these people are on a road and we are on the path. You see, there's a disconnect. So expectations, fruit, of the action, be attached to it, and so on. Look at the pitfalls. Look how the passions incarnate, manifest when you apply the virtue. Correct? Yes? So far so good? This is a workshop based on the wording of the voice of the silence, yet in your own journal, if you like to do this, use your own words and your own experiences when you try to approach the first portal, which the key is the first virtue, right? Charity and love immortal. It's very beautiful. Love immortal. I mean, what can go wrong when you want to be charitable and love immortal? Everything. If you are not ready, if you have that. So, first paramita. There's, again, we can stay in the first paramita forever, right? Because experiences are wide. Let's go to the second. We know, of course, that it starts in 232, 233, right? On 232 is, pass on, for thou hast brought the key. You are secure. That means that they already showed up. They already gave you the bad time, and you apply the paramita, which is the antidote, and the gate, you found the lock, you have the key, you open it up, you pass the first gate, you know how to apply the paramita in all circumstances. Every time that you are going to be charitable, and it's just not a word, it's the idea of charity, which is infinite possibilities of the word to give yourself on, and so love immortal. Every time that you apply that, you're already the master of that. You see that? So you found the key. It means you can apply every single time. You can quiet the voices of the jackals that are barking at you. And it's not that you're not affected, but you can work with them. The word is the word. They're going to bark, right? It's not because you are now, you have the key, that everybody around you is going to, oh master. No, it's not going to be like that, right? We're going to see in the midst of the cave, they kill that person, right? They die most of the time, these guys. They have enemies everywhere. It's not that easy. It's the path of whoa. I like that word, whoa. So, but you have the key. You can silence the pain and suffering in you because you can see more. Second paramita. Starts in 232 and it ends where? So it takes a couple minutes. Don't say it aloud for 1-2 minutes. And just read it. This is workshop. This is where you work. And see where the second paramita ends. Read till you feel you pass the second gate. Remember the second paramita is Shila, right? And Shila in 206 is the key of harmony in words and act. The key that counterbalances the cause and effect. Leave no further room for karmic action. So remember, I'm only asking you to practice it and get a vision of that way to the portal. To the next one. Anybody got it? A couple minutes? Yes? And the number is?
235.
235? That's the right answer. Ding, 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 ding. This is the movie. Yes, 235. So it's 3 paragraphs, 233 to 235. Susan, will you read it? So when we read it, when Susan read it, worth it. And by the way, this is something that we did in our study group, and it was very useful. Another person added more columns and so on because of her experience in life and so on. But we filled one of these in the board. You remember the board, right? It was so cool. And they commuted every week to. So. Susan, read it, please. See the path to the gate. Go ahead.
And to the second gate the way is verdant too, but it is steep and winds uphill, yea, to its rocky top. Gray mists will overhang its rough and stony height, and all will be dark beyond. As on he goes, the song of hope soundeth more feeble in the pilgrim's heart. The thrill of doubt is now upon him. His step less steady grows. Beware of this, O candidate. Beware of fear that spreadeth like the black and soundless wings of midnight bat between the moonlight of thy soul and thy great goal that loometh in the distance far away. Fear, O disciple, kills the will and stays all action. If lacking in the Shila virtue, the pilgrim trips, and karmic pebbles bruise his feet along the rocky path.
Do you see the change in the environment? Impressive, right? It changed. The birds still sing, but that hopeful, beautiful thing has changed. So how do you, some hands to describe the second and the change from the first? Anybody cares to describe the path of the second, the path to the gate? Not just reading it, but what you got? What did you get? What's the difference between the first and the second? Anybody? If not, you're stuck with me.
And again, the second is Shila, the key of harmony in word and act, the key that counterbalances the cause and the effect and leaves no further room for karmic action.
You went to work, you're now very charitable with everybody, you love them immortally, and then you realize you have to use now a harmony. You have to be in words and act because they're watching you. They want you to be consistent. They want you to be truthful, right? They want you to see if your cause and effect are troublesome. They look at you in everything that you do, right? And if there are karmic faults in you, in your actions and your soul, and they're going to judge you, and they're going to make you do what? Freeze in fear. At the end, fear freezes you. Beware of fear. There is a moment you paralyze yourself. Fear paralyzes, right? Activity. Fear is horrible. Horrible. Spreads like a black, soundless wing of a midnight bat. Wow, that is really strong.
So what is the barrier to harmony?
What is the barrier to harmony? It's not something. It's what did you get? Yes.
Doubt is a very strong one.
Doubt is one.
Doubt.
Doubt, she said doubt,
Strong
right?
one.
It's in the text,
Doubt.
it's very strong.
Very strong. Isn't that true?
As soon as you're doubting a person, it can give trouble in a team.
And where doubt comes from? Look at this. In my activity, my action towards you, the world, I want to have a harmony in words and act. Word and act. What happens if that is not harmonious? And you're saying something you didn't do. And that happens so much in this world. You're hiding things, right? Or you're acting in ways that you didn't say that you will. There is no harmony in acts and words. You start to lie about it. Eventually they're going to catch you. Karma always comes back, right? In the moment they catch you, fear, doubt, right? It paralyzes you. There's all kind of things that we can talk about that. Anybody wants to comment more on this? I want to go into what are the cruel, crafty powers, passions incarnate that you're facing there. We use some good words, doubt and fear, right? Are there other lies? It may not be a crafty power, but if you say things that you didn't mean it, that they're not consistent, right? There is a crafty power that made you do that.
Laziness.
It's what?
Laziness.
Laziness? Oh, that's a horrible
Being
thing.
angry.
You're talking about me? No, but you see what I'm saying? You tell people you got to do this, you got to do it, and you didn't. And then they catch you, right? Don't smoke, don't smoke, don't smoke. And one day they walk in the street. So things like that, you know? And then when they catch you, you freeze. And now you're fearful of saying things. Because you are not in harmony, right? Words and acts.
I also think that you become disharmonious with your own conscience.
Yeah.
And that's even worse than that
Yeah.
the neighbors say that you are doing wrong.
Yes. Yes, yes. Disharmonious is a good word. The root of this harmony is within you. What caused you to be disharmonious? That's your demon you have to face. Right? Cause and effect. The effect is disharmony. What are those demons that cause you not to be in harmony with words and acts, with the world around you? We all have demons like that. Yes.
Hold the microphone.
You need a microphone, yes. Have patience, Mike.
I think cruel, crafty power at this point can also be described as being caught by a false image of yourself, nailing you to an image of I'm not worthy or something. And it's like a mirror, and then something.
It's like a mirror.
A mirror, the cruel, crafty powers.
Right. Say more about that. That's very important.
Yeah.
Do you have more words about that? A mirror.
It's a mirror of faults from the past that they blow up, they grow, they exaggerate.
Right.
And you have to face them because they are reflections from the past.
Very good.
And you have to be strong, confident that you can overgrow them because inside of you there's more.
Right. The beauty of that image of the mirror, it comes from the myth of Quetzalcoatl in Mesoamerica, where Tezcatlipoca, the Lord of the Smoking Mirror, that's his name, the Lord of the Smoking Mirror. He's a God that will show you in the mirror yourself, and you see the faulty life from the past. And Quetzalcoatl, when he saw that, he said, oh no, I thought I was a God. I have all these human traits. This is horrible. And he killed himself. Isn't that something? Lord of the Smoking Mirror. Of course, Quetzalcoatl went to hell, saved humanity from hell, came back after 4th day, and became Tlahuizcalpantecutli, the Lord of the Morning Star, the planet Venus. Isn't that beautiful? After finding himself all the energy, all the power, went to hell, saved humanity, which means came back as a bodhisattva, victorious, and became the planet Venus. Isn't that a beautiful story? And he started with a pitfall, looking himself in a smoking mirror. You have that expression, smoking mirror? Well, it comes from a story, right? That you see, etc., etc. Any more hands? On the second paramita, yes. Please.
To me it seems that the pitfall doubt is a result of the first pitfall of hope. Because where you hope you're not sure, and you might doubt, because you don't realize the law of karma. But if you know the law of karma and you act and you speak in harmony, you know the result will be there. So there's no hope, there's no doubt, you just know. That was my
It's a good insight, isn't that true? Yeah. So, that's a workshop, right? That's the workshop. Now, can you see, any hands? Can you see that after you apply the key of charity, love immortal, the idea of the second virtue, harmony and words and acts will help even more? We're adding virtues to virtues. Yes? So after you conquered or you gained the key of charity and love immortal, now that you have the key of harmony in words and acts, the key that counterbalances cause and effect, and there is no more karmic action because of that. These two virtues empower each other. You see that? So at work, after I asked them to give themselves, to help others, and so on, I told them, be consistent in your words and what you say and what you ask, right? Apply the second layer. So this was a training session, right? So look at progression too. How the next virtue adds another layer, and it's a very different energy, because it's a different key. It's a very different stage, and it's empowering the other. It's making the other perfect. Or it's already perfect, but more powerful in you. Third virtue, Shanti. Shanti, we don't really need to talk about it. We're all very patient humans. Isn't that true? On the road, you have no problem with patience. At home, you're so patient. With all your friends and family and people, you also patient. Patience is a virtue that most people fail miserable. Isn't that true? Miserable. It's so miserable that I think that the third virtue is almost impossible. It's almost like an ideal. And it takes just few seconds for anybody to lose patience. And it's a wonderful, wonderful picture that we gave of ourselves. Workshop. Where does it start? We left in 236. Where Shanti ends. Take a look on the text and see where it ends. We bracket it, right? So we can concentrate a virtue at a time. I hope you don't mind that I'm not taking a break. And if you mind, well, let me know. It doesn't matter. I'm not going to stop anyway. But you can take it on me. But know that the person to talk to is Aaron. He's the complaining department. You go to him and complain to him, not me. I'm not going to stop. I know how to apply that key very well. Take it to Aaron. Okay, so you know what we're doing. We bracketing, we reading, we concentrating, we visualizing, we contemplating, we see our life in it, and we see what are the crafty powers, the passions incarnate, and in our life, what are the situations that went right and wrong, and how we apply the key. It's so simple, and then you're going to be patient forever. You can say no. We're like, no, that won't happen. Well, that's why it takes time, practice, right? Practice does it. Okay, so where does it end? 2 for 1, we're very close, yeah, 2 for 1. Yeah. 2 for 1. 240, 2 for 1. Because on 241 it says, but once thou hast passed the gate of Shanti, you already passed it, right? So let's say 240, even though we know that some of these will spill in the next one, right? Blavatsky is not writing a manual, he's giving some vision, so have patience with Blavatsky in her translation. You like that? Okay, so we are in 236. And Susan, do you mind to read 236 to 240? It's a little on the long side. And I'm glad because, remember, I suggest that we all have failed patience. And I saw some smile, not you. Patience is like, great. You know how much patience you need to resolve an issue with someone else? If not, try to be an arbitrator between two parties. It's incredibly, right? And if you do a check mark, well, go to a country where they need, help. There's plenty of people in the world that have political frictions between two factions and have patience and solve them. We need so much help in the world. This is a bodhisattva we're going to make. Okay, so Susan, 236 to 240.
Be sure of foot, O candidate. In Shanti's essence, bathe thy soul. For now, thou dost approach the portal of that name, the gate of fortitude and patience. Close not thine eyes, nor lose thy sight of Dorje. Mara's arrows ever smite the man who has not reached Viraga. Beware of trembling. 'Neath the breath of fear, the key of Shanti rusty grows. The rusty key refuseth to unlock.
Rusty key. Do you got that? Rusty key? It just doesn't work well. You keep the door. Sorry, we have the patience to wait. Go.
The more thou dost advance, the more thy feet pitfalls will meet. The path that leadeth on is lighted by one fire, the light of daring burning in the heart. The more one dares, the more he shall obtain. The more he fears, the more that light shall pale, and that alone can guide. For as the lingering sunbeam that on the top of some tall mountain shines is followed by black night when out it fades, so is heart light. When out it goes, a dark and threatening shade will fall from thine own heart upon the path and root thy feet in terror to the spot. Beware, disciple, of that lethal shade. No light that shines from spirit can dispel the darkness of the nether soul, unless all selfish thought has fled therefrom, and that the pilgrim saith, I have renounced this passing frame. I have destroyed the cause. The shadows cast can, as effects, no longer be. For now, the last great fight, the final war between the higher and the lower self hath taken place. Behold, the very battlefield is now engulfed in the great war, and is no more.
Wow, this is why we felt miserable with patience. Miserable. If you got a glimpse of the last few paragraphs, it tells us study the Bhagavad Gita, the Great War, right? The Mahabharata. Isn't that what it's saying? This is just for the third paramita, for patience. You see, he went back to the topic of fear. The more he fears, the more, you see that? It's retaking some of the narrative of previous paramitas. But now it's about Shanti. It's about patience. It's an incredible picture. Almost superhuman to go over this. Why? Because this is the final war between the higher and the lower self. And that's the greatest dragon to kill. That's this incredible virtue. And when you have the key in your hand, it's really a rusty key. You can't even use it. Why? You are not a patient person, so you cannot use it. You blame the key. Oh, patience doesn't work. It's a bad virtue. This is not. I need another virtue. Give me another virtue. Okay, let's go to the next one. Indifference to pain and pleasure. Okay, let me work on that. You see, we now the crafty powers are making you transfer to other stuff and so on. It's really incredible. What did you get out of this one? I'm talking too much. I want you I want to hear a couple of you, but please, share with you. This is a complicated one because it's complicated. Patience. Anybody dares to? Thank you. Daniel.
Well, perhaps a way to exercise patience
Okay.
is not going too far away. Start being patient with oneself, being more indulgent with oneself. Of course, this might not apply to the people that are too indulgent to themselves.
No, it's a practice, right?
It's a
practice with you.
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
yeah. Then we are more self-content,
Yeah,
and we can radiate that to other people.
I see. Do you agree that? Have patience with you? Anybody else? It's a mission of horror, right? Patience is. Yet it has to be done.
Well, can you hear me? Well, if you're still aiming for a goal, then you get impatient by not reaching it. And I think that's a problem, so you have to get rid of all your goals.
Okay. And therefore, you get rid of all the goals. I want to follow up that. You get rid of all the goals, and then how patience appears. If you get rid of the goals, you don't expect
Right,
the fruit of the action,
right.
and you get patient.
Well, there's no such thing as patience or impatience.
I see. You transcend it.
Right, yeah.
Transcended
You
patience.
transcend patience.
Well, that sounds very beautiful. The problem is we're humans, and we do things because we have goals. But you're right, there is something there, but we're very human. And we go from goal to goal. We have a list of things, responsibilities, and then we lose patience and we lose the battle. But yeah, this is very important. Therefore, with the goals, we might not be able to remove them all, but be aware of that, right? Yes.
One pitfall seems to me that we are always kind of judgmental. So we always want to categorize things, and when somebody doesn't meet what our expectations in that sense, then we have no patience. So if we leave this being judgmental aside, then it could also help.
Okay. Remember, the idea is first to understand the voice of the silence description of the way, the path to the portal. We got to conquer this stronghold. In that stronghold, there are demons, passions incarnate. They're very cruel. They come from within ourselves, and they're going to stop us from crossing patience. We, our lower self, is going to stop us from finding the key of the virtue. So, the voice of silence describes this path. Please study that really well, because this is what we're going to face when we need patience. Then, see the crafty powers, what I call those demons within, those passions incarnate, when they attack us, that the end result is we lose patience. Then find out what patience means and see if we can use the key. Yes, Enrique.
Yeah, I would like just to follow up what Nico and sorry for your name just said, because something gets rusty when we don't take care of it enough. And sometimes one of the reasons why we avoid taking care of something important, such a key is because we don't want to face it. And we postpone it until the very end, until it's not possible to do anything. And that is connected to the fear that it is highlighted here. And so I think that sometimes we have to take care of the noblest part of ourselves in due time without postponing too much, otherwise it's too late. So be brave.
Thank you. I want to go back to the text, because we can't lose sight of the text. On the third line here it says, the more you advance impatiently, right, the more your pitfalls will meet. Once you are impatient, oh, this is a disaster. So, you see what he's saying? He's saying that catch yourself in the first moment that you feel that impatience, not patience, is going to show up. Catch yourself and apply the paramita. Apply the counter. Why? Because if you keep living and working in the same direction of patience, it's going to be so bad. You are building up an eruption. I want to show to you how it happens. And all of a sudden the person said, I don't want to do that, I knew that, and then you see that it's a volcano. We all seen volcanoes. I'm not talking the ones in Hawaii, in Iceland. I'm seeing people, right? They explode, you explode, there is earthquakes, thunder, there is fog everywhere, Kundalini is a mess. You know, yeah. What do you need? A retreat, you come here to the ITC, a weekend, you relax, right? You review your life. But it's telling us, don't keep walking. Stop it. Take time. Review your life. Because it's going to be horrible. I call it a volcano. There's a different description. Here they go into shades and things, and fear, etc., etc. It's really a bad thing. Next time you are just about to lose patience, can you catch yourself? Don't repress it, because you need to work in the root causes. You need to find what caused you, the true crafty power. If you don't do the work, it's going to repeat and repeat. It's not about repressing this. It's not about not facing ourselves. It's about to see the crafty powers, work that out, right? You find your key and apply it. Isn't that? You agree with that? If you repress, if you don't find the crafty power, it's still there and it will not let you. The only thing you did good is you stop it. But if you don't want to see the crafty power, the pitfall is there next time. Right? Got to work on it. The voice of the silence is very wise. So wise that is the manual of Bodhisattvas. That's what Blavatsky told us, of this Eastern school of wisdom. We got to follow it. We got to follow it.
Amazing.
Yes, please.
So, when I met this demon, it has to do with time, patience.
Okay.
And when I asked somebody help me with that, when I think about it, you talk about stop it, how will I react in 5 minutes, in 5 days, in 5 months, in 5 years, I got peace. I built up the demon again, so I have to repeat it. It's about injustice, but yeah, I've become very angry, and I see the process in myself, but there was a kind of stopping it by asking myself in other ways. Okay.
Thank you for sharing that. And we're all going to find our own way, right, to deal with impatience. We got to deal with it.
Yeah.
But we need to find the root of that. Yes. Susan? Sorry. The demon, we got to find. Yeah.
It seems to me, and also is in the text, that there is a strong relation between Ksantri and Viraga and Vairagya.
Yes, of course, yes.
And I think it's explained very well that if you are impatient and you want to achieve something and you want strength very strong in getting to something that you want, and if you practice Vairagya, then you're more or less indifferent.
Right. So that will help you.
Yeah.
That will empower the other one.
Yes.
And that's going to be a way too.
And also you have to
apply sorry, go ahead.
And also you have to be very strong. Otherwise you see a lot of references to being not strong or fearful and so.
Right. Thank you. Thank you. Susan in the back. And then we move on, okay? Thank you.
For me personally, what came to mind would be steadfastness, so trusting the process once you put your feet on the path, which means patience also with yourself to go through whatever steps need to be taken. But you're moving on, you're transitioning to another phase, so you cannot give in to stopping because then you're back at point zero.
Right.
So this one, most of all, was about perseverance, steadfastness.
Thank you. Thank you. So remember that at the end, he says something very strange. He says, to work on patience, really, you have a final word between the higher and the lower self. We got to find the connection. If you do not, that means that there is no way to work on your patience from the lower self. Isn't that what he's saying? Something like that, right? You find your own words. But from the lower self, which is Kavamana, who wants things, you can't work on patience. That's why we fail miserably. Isn't that clear? Therefore, we conclude that most of us working from the lower self cannot apply virtues. And this is plain. To find a virtue, it has to be from the higher self, because you need to contemplate the idea of the virtue. The idea of the virtue. You cannot define justice. You have to see it and see what is unjust, and you will recognize it. But justice, how are you going to define a virtue? What is patience? Yet just try to define patience, not aloud, to yourself. You will fail, because it's an idea. And remember what Plato said, idea is, in one translation, is the most brilliant light of being. It's a light, the most brilliant light. So it's something to behold, something to contemplate. And when you contemplate it, you know it in all its aspects, if you are Indiana. Therefore, Blavatsky has told us, concentrate, and Plato too, and many people, concentrate on the ideas, work on trying to get to the contemplation and get illumination. Do you see that? But it has to be from the higher self. It says, behold, the very battlefield is now engulfed in the great war. And when you conquer, it's no more. If you higher self win, there's one more on the back. Thank you. And then we move on to the next one. Because impatiently we have a time frame. So we have to deal with it.
Then I have a question.
Yes.
Why is it put in 240, the war? Why is it not put before we start with Dana? Because when we have the wrong idea about how we have to fight, we make many mistakes.
Yes.
And we can think we have got the skill of dana, but maybe it's not true. So why is it put so late in this? That is my question.
Okay, so complaint department is Arendt. So the why we cannot solve it. We need to agree, we can rewrite the book here. But it's an interesting philosophical question. In my opinion, is because when we enter the path, when we said, yes, I'm going to take the path, the first stage, the first task, the first paramita, it looks great. Path is green, nightingales are singing, we forget that there is going to be a war. We find the war on the third paramita because we can't keep going without that. If we could have done it, and you're totally right, if we could have done it earlier, we will have no goals, we will have no that. We just do it for Dharma.
But it has to do with insight.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. So what I suggest is you keep that in mind, that when you enter the path, you do the war immediately. You do the war immediately because you are aware of that. And when you are already a bodhisattva, you tell Arya Sangha to rewrite the book. Okay? And tell him, Master, it's very cool, but I have a suggestion. And they have a suggestion box, and it's so it's very well organized.
But it looks as if we get a sweetie before our mouth.
I'm totally with you. But the thing is, it seems to me that in that moment, when we say yes to the path, everything looks, empowered and everything goes really well. I'm making my first step, and oh my God, this happens to people in theosophy. People walk in and say, oh, I love theosophy, the masters, the virtues, Blavatsky. Oh my God, I don't understand the secret doctrine. This text, what is this text? Where are the masters? Where is Kutumi? Where is this? Isn't that what happens sometimes? What happened to the path? You see? So this is what we got. The first step, everything looks green. Nightingales are walking, I feel overpowered, right? This is the demon. That is the demon. And we forget to work from the higher self. Because the demon is won't let us. So my hope is, as we do this, we remember this teaching. This is what we do in this. We remember this teaching. This is perfect. Remember this teaching. Yes.
Right. It takes us back to the seven sounds. Again, the beginning ones they're all melodious. Yeah. But then we come to this point of, where this, it seems like this is a really pivotal point.
It is.
And that's why the war emerges. The memory, past memory, those seeds are really starting to be dealt with.
And those are crafty powers. They can turn into crafty powers. Okay, we're moving along. We agree? Now we're going to the fourth, and we have Viraga, right? And if we go back to the list, Viraga is that will give us the key for indifference to pleasure, that's 210. Indifference to pleasure and to pain. Illusion conquered, truth alone perceived. Impossible to do without patience, right? At this point, we are in the middle, in the fourth of the seven, and it starts in 241. We ended in chanting 240, right? And it ends in 275. So I'm not going to torture you, right? Looking for the end. It's an incredible, difficult, long one. indifference to pleasure and pain, it's so difficult to take pain and pleasure. We say, I can take all that pleasure. Yes. And that's why you take so much drugs and alcohol. And that's why you do this, and that's why you do that. Yes, sure you can. Pleasures and pain. It's so difficult. And illusion conquered. Oh yes. Yes, you have no delusions in life. Truth alone perceived. Can you really see the truth? So this is an incredible moment. But to perceive, and in 241, for instance, he says, now for the fourth prepare, is called the portal of temptations, which do ensnare the inner man. Are you with me? Just in 241, right? You with me, 241?
Yep.
Okay. Ensnares the inner man. Thou hast mastered all the mental changes in thyself. I mean, this is an incredible one. And it goes philosophically. Thou hast to study the voidness of the seeming full, the fullness of the seeming void. Isn't that incredible? This is like, oh my God, I don't even understand this. You need to know all the powers of yourself, right? 4 in 245. 4, on the path 4, the lightest breath of passion or desire will steer the steady light. This is horrible, right? And so on and so on. And at the end, you're going to accept the Maya's gift illusive. Mara. You're going to accept Maya's gift, which is the demon Mara, right? Satan. You're going to accept them all, right? Alon Antakarana. You see that? So here comes now the occult process of changing ourselves internally. This is an incredible moment where we need to work now in our inner principles. And that process we're going to see Monday, where in the esoteric instructions, Blavatsky gave us a more detailed work on Antakarana. Because I hope that you're serious enough to work on this, right? If it's too high, don't do it. Yet you need to learn virtue, right? And here the virtue is indifference to pleasure and pain, conquer illusion, truth alone perceived. Which means start working in that idea, slowly. Don't get into the esoteric part unless you do your first practices. So you're going to start working on higher principles, lower principles, and Antakarana. And that could be risky if you are not prepared. You follow what I'm saying? From now on, this is a turning point. The fourth virtue is going to change your life completely. And if you bring all the dirt and the lower self into it without that preparation, it's going to burn it out. And then, next life. You need to clean another clean principle, lower principle, to start working on it again. Right? So please be extremely careful from now on, from the fourth and up. Yet, we need to practice. Yes.
Amplifying what you said and going back a little bit to what Yoka said. It seems like the beginning, like you said, it's open, it's very inviting, and the virtues seem a little bit more externally directed, to be charitable, to be patient, and and to start, and then with Shanti, we actually do start turning within a little bit. There's this longing for peace.
Yes.
And it seems, as Joka said, there's an inward turning, even greater, that virtue becomes something even less applied, but more realized. And again, going back to the creative silence that of Rogi Metta, he goes back again to this idea of, the fear that sort of dogs us along the way sometimes. And he says we constantly look back, hoping that the vices that we leave behind are not following us. But it is these backward glances
Those are the demons that follow us.
Yes. But it is these backward glances that give potency to the vice. And that is why HPB says, look not behind, or thou art lost. It's the looking back which strengthens the centers of psychological recognition. The desire to glance back arises out of the fear of insecurity. The greater the fear of insecurity, the greater is the clinging to false security. Strangely enough, the consciousness of virtue contains this fear. The fear lest the vices that have been left behind may overtake us. And the virtue that has to constantly remind itself of its victory over its vice is no virtue at all. How can virtue exist side by side with fear? Is not spiritual pride a form of the mind's defense mechanism against this fear? Needless to say, a mind that is afraid is a corrupt, contaminated mind. It can have no spiritual quality in it.
Susan, I will have to stop because we've run out of time. But it's an impressive book, and I just want to give you the final words, right? We finish and we are on the fourth. I'm so sorry.
No, that's good. That's the
But I just want to warn you that when you pass the third patient, paramita, the way it says here, and you have the final battle between the higher and the lower, you're going to enter in a world by doing that is highly esoteric and occult. And now, in the fourth paramita, is telling us that by destroying the antakarana, you're going to start building your robes of splendor. Your manakaya start going to weave, you're going to weave them. They are there, but you haven't weaved them. You're going to do an incredible work. Please, don't go there if you still have a lot of problems with patience, with harmony, with words and acts and so on. But practice them all at the low level with you and with your family. It's and your friends and people everywhere. Virtues are very important, but there is an esoteric component here that is meant to be for those who are on the path, and we are on the road. Don't forget that. Still, every virtue has a merit in its own where we are. You agree with me? So if you want, Virja is from 276 to 277. Dhyana is 277 to 281. Prajna is to 281 till almost the end. And at the very, very end, he says, now choose. Isn't that beautiful? Now choose. And it says here, 310, you are in Prajna Paramita, and it says, thou art enlightened. Choose that way. You're totally ready in Prajna Paramita. Choose that way. You can still choose one, but now you're fully ready to choose and commit. And this is the final steps that can make you a bodhisattva. This is a very holy moment in the universe, on the planet. Very few get there. Very few get there. And in that moment, this is described so incredible. 310, do you mind to read 311? Behold. This is she's describing, she's Blavatsky, describing that a person has chosen the right path in 3:11. Thanks.
Behold the mellow light that floods the eastern sky. In signs of praise both heaven and earth unite, and from the fourfold manifested powers a chant of love ariseth, both from the flaming fire and flowing water, and from sweet smelling earth and rushing wind. Hark! From the deep, unfathomable vortex of that golden light in which the victor bathes, all nature's wordless voice in thousand tones ariseth to proclaim, Joy unto ye, O men of Nialba! A pilgrim hath returned back from the other shore. A new Arhan is born. Peace to all beings.
So joy, everybody in this planet, a human being, a pilgrim, who is capable to renounce, has renounced, who is capable for liberation, capable of just leaving us forever, has taken the path of renunciation, and he has returned to us. He's down the road, helping us. Isn't that a glorious moment? So few can do this. And of course our Pope, which one of us can do that, or all of us at once. Let's make a point here. So the work is very simple, and yet it's work that we got to do. There's a description of the path, there is a hint about the cruel crafty powers. It cannot be described in fullness because the variety of them. My demons are not your demons. You don't want my demons. And I don't want your demons. I have enough. You have enough. But we got to face them. We need to work on them. Because we got to apply the virtuous life. Got to apply virtues. And we need to do it without fear, in harmony, with love, compassion, and not getting hurt and bleeding and depression when we do that. I hope this has been good for you, the study of the voice of Isaiah. We've completed the 3 fragments, so to speak, right? You know it takes years to master this. Yes, it's a gift of theosophy to us, and as such, we have the responsibility to study this, to learn it and share it with those who can understand it, right? At this level of secret path, esoteric wisdom. Isn't that true? There are secrets here that were revealed and expanded in the esoteric and inner group teaching that we can learn. But yet, the virtues are very important. We should all use them at our own level. It's very important. Do you see that? Did you see the path? Cosmogenesis, anthropogenesis, the finality, the voice of the silent. Give us the next stage. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you so much.